Hush Podcast Network.
I got love for my hood, my hood. I hold it down for my hood, my hood. I got love for my hood, my hood. I hold it down for my hood, my hood.
The place I was born, be the land of the soldier. Party the way surrounds Polynesian culture. Lava jams when the young skin fade. Patch members on the block trying to make that pay. But now I never do the thing. Rolling on the east side, the beat right. Sing a few beats that we sitting by the seaside. What you really know about that? Rolling up the green, you can smell it through my clothes. Kicking with the fam, small circular bros. Slap each other's hands, man, you already know. White red gang, we back still in the show. Do it on a daily, bro, I know you hate me. Have a listen, maybe I can change your point of view. Popping out the bottle, now you better make it too. Gotta let them know, east to west, how we
What up, people? Welcome back to That's My Cousin podcast. It's just me in the studio hosting tonight. Our next guest on That's My Cousin is a 501 deportee and founding member of one of the most notorious prison gangs in Melbourne. He turned his life around and now he runs his own podcast, The Felon Show. He's here to take part in Box on Boxing's 24-hour hit-out to help raise money and bring awareness around the lack of mental health services, not just in our town, but our country. You know him as David Obeda, but to me, that's my cousin. What's up, brother?
Chill, brother. How's it going?
Good, bro. Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it. Before we get started, I just want to give a massive shout-out to Lee Tapuya for putting this together.
Yeah. Big love to the brother Lee. And, shot for having me on, brother. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. So I'm not too sure how much people outside that have listened to my other podcasts will know much about you, but I know there's a few. Your podcast is pretty big, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's doing quite well for itself. I mean, I guess in a way I do class it as like a true crime podcast.
Yep.
So I mean, I guess currently in New Zealand, like that sort of a genre, there's not any others that I really know of anyway, you know what I mean? Like in that genre of just interviewing, basically. I get a whole range of viewers and things like that, but it is mainly like patch members or ex-patch members and bank robbers, prison escapees, that sort of thing, here in New Zealand and in Australia. But yeah, I mean, it's doing alright, man. Like,
I think what's so good about it is the realness of it, and it's something different that's not out there at the moment. Especially, well, where we're from, it's not out there, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely raw.
Yeah,
it's definitely raw.
I've seen that you've put up for the Australian Podcast Awards too.
Yeah.
Get in and vote. Get out there and vote.
Yeah. No, well, with that, bro, like, we just put it forward. Heaps of brothers are voting for it though, but I mean, yeah. Well, technically, I am a Kiwi podcast. You know what I mean? But technically, it's New Zealand. But I do have a strong following in Oz because I do interview a lot of people from there. Because
and you spent most of your life in Oz.
Yeah. Well, half. You know what I mean? I spent a good couple of years. I moved there when I was 14, so I still do have quite a strong following over there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So let's get started. Like, you were born in New Zealand, Auckland.
Yeah. No. I was born in Henderson, but I was originally grew up in Tokoroa.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty small town. Smaller than Blenheim, I'm pretty sure. So it's a pretty small town. But I come from a good family, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Single mother, but Christian. You know, grew up in the church. But yeah, just always a bit of a troublemaker as well. Moved to Auckland when I was still pretty young. Moved out to West Auckland. Yeah, brother, like I just said, man, you know, good upbringing, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mum was always a hard worker. Mum sometimes worked 2 jobs, you know, cleaning and just to support and provide for me and my brother and that. Did look up to my brother, you know, my brother was a bit on the drugs and drinking. Dad had a bit of a temper as well, but overall, you know, pretty good upbringing, you know, but yeah, got into bits of trouble here and there. Ended up moving with my dad for a period of time there as well, as an early teenager, and then, yeah, because my mum ended up meeting someone, stepdad type situation, and then we didn't get along. He was a bit abusive as well. So started running away from home and getting kicked out, and then I ended up moving to Australia when I was 14 because I got kicked out of my dad's place from my sister. But good kid though this whole time though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good kid, bro, but just making bad decisions, and then ended up moving to Australia.
I think everyone goes through that stage eventually, at least once in their life, getting up to mischief. Do you think moving to Aussie, the environment around you is what caused you, or were you just
just for
lost?
Yeah, that's what I always say, bro. Just lost as I'm looking for a place to fit in.
Yeah.
Trying to like prove myself as a man, I guess you could say as well.
Yeah.
Which in my head was being bad and getting into crime.
Going to that new environment to fit in, yeah.
Yeah, just trying to
just trying to
belong. Yeah, just trying to belong. And but I mean, even looking back now, bro, I never belonged in that world either, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Looking back now, I never really fit in that world either. But I think in the end of the day, I reckon it was all God's plan.
Yeah.
You know, with my podcast, with the things with the people that I interview and things like that, I realized, like, man, I actually had it pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, you get a lot of guys that they've just never even had a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of guys I've interviewed, they just grew up around gangs, around
Straight in
people
it.
going to jail. Like, that wasn't me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't grow up around, like, patched members. Like, none of my immediate family went. I'm the only one that went to prison. No, I didn't know anyone in gangs. Like, that wasn't around me at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like the black sheep of my family. But I've been able to make it a positive.
Yeah,
you
that's
know what I
the
mean?
big
Like,
thing about this. Yeah.
like, I'm heading to the UN next week, so we're going to Switzerland, Geneva. So we're going to the United Nations over there. I've been invited with a team of lawyers. They're doing like a class action against the Australian government and that. So the way I look at it, like, at one point, I was the only one in my family that went to prison. Like,
now you're going to stand in front of the UN.
Like I was a disappointment, and now I'm the only one in my family that's ever going to the United Nations or even come close to achieving anything like that. So, man, that's all God's plan, you know what I mean?
Massive,
it's massive, bro, you know what I mean? So it's a trip out for my mum, that's for sure.
So can you talk on what that class action lawsuit is? Or?
Oh, yeah, just quickly, bro. So, yeah, basically they're just doing a class action against the Australian government in regards to, like, deportation.
Yeah.
Just... not so much the actual, like, cancelling of visas, but just more the unlawful detention that they're facing because of that. Because
people spending so much time on Christmas Island and shit like that.
That's it, bro. So, I mean, I guess a good outcome out of this would be for them to shut down Christmas Island.
Yeah.
So that's one of the objectives, is for them to shut that place down. Yeah, I mean, because at the moment, Tonga's not accepting deportees anymore either.
Yeah.
So you've got a whole bunch of, like, Tongan nationals who are really Australians though, but they're being kicked back to Tonga, but they can't leave because Tonga won't accept them.
So they'll hold them on Christmas Island.
Yeah, or any of the other detention centres, you know, but Christmas Island's a really bad one. They're all bad ones, like, yeah, so...
So it's a massive opportunity to go over there and bring this case, especially that you get to be a part of it too, bro.
Yeah, bro, it's massive, like, the papers have just come back as well, so I'll actually be going into the United Nations, and so it's like history making, really.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. So yeah, all glory to God, though, you know. So I believe that He wants me there for a reason. So yeah, I'll be heading there next Thursday.
That's massive, brother. That's awesome to hear. So when you moved to Aussie, how long was it before you started getting into a bit of mischief? And
yeah, pretty much right off the bat. Like, as soon as I went there, I was staying with my stepdad, and that I ended up running away from home because he was real, like, like, looking back on it now, like, even him, you know, good guy. I mean, I had every opportunity with him where I could have done something with my life, you know, but he was real, like, because he was, like, white as well, you know what I mean? And, like, he was, like, real, like, racist, which you know,
Yeah.
my mum's an Islander though, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it doesn't make sense, I know, but he was like a real bad like racist, like didn't like Islanders.
Yeah.
So
Probably that you're not one of his own as well.
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So he was real like just real derogatory. Like, nowadays I don't really get caught up too much in racial things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, he was just real derogatory towards like just people of color and things like that. So yeah, I ended up taking off from home and then started hanging on the streets. It's a massive culture shock as well, though. Like
Yeah.
moving to Australia, huge culture shock.
Was it a Islander community that you're...
Nah, not. There were a lot of Islanders,
Yeah.
and Māori, but where I moved to, it was more an Asian neighborhood, like Vietnamese type neighborhood. But they got gangs and stuff as well, like over there. So it was known as like a Vietnamese like hood, like gangs and that, you know what I mean? So yeah, I moved over there. Like, bro, it's like a massive like melting pot over there, because then you got Africans as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got the African boys, like all the boys from Sudan, like Sudanese.
Yeah.
You got like Afghanistan's, you know, Middle Easterns. You got like, bro, there's heaps. You know, Aboriginals.
Would most of the races get along, or would they
Oh yeah, I get. Oh
stand
well,
off
like
against each other, community-wise? Yeah.
yeah, it's like, yeah, there's fighting like with the Africans
Yeah.
mainly, even with the Vietnamese as well. They got like mad numbers, you know what I mean? Like they got the numbers. Like
Yeah, right.
they make one phone call, man, and it's like you jump one of them. And
They
they'll
all
come
come
back
in.
like literally 5 minutes later, they'll be back like 200 of them.
Fuck.
You know what I mean? So it got chased a lot. You know what I mean?
Are you fast, bro?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, they come in bloody deep. Heaps of them are small though, you know what I mean? But they're carrying like machetes like longer
But when
than
there's
them.
200 of them,
Yeah, I
small
know.
ones not gonna worry, bro.
I know. But even in prison, that's how they go in there as well, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Oh, like, in prison, there are a lot of Māori and Islanders, but there's heaps of Asians, heaps of, like, Lebos and that. But in saying that, though, like, the Islanders and Māoris in prison are, like, bigger than everyone else, though.
Yeah.
So there'll only be, like, a couple of us in the unit, but we can match any others just because we're bigger than everyone else, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But that's later on in the story. So, yeah. So, yeah, started getting into trouble and stuff as a teenager, and just started hanging out with the wrong crowd and all of that. Just a petty criminal, though.
Yeah.
Like, always just just petty as criminal, man. Just like a thief, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, really into my burglaries and things. Doing armed robberies and things as well. A lot that I'm not getting done for, though. You know what I mean? So I got away with a lot. But, yeah. And then eventually, when I was 19, I ended up going inside for the first time.
And was that straight? There's no juvie? Skip juvie? for that?
Nah. I went to... well, because in Melbourne, they've got like a youth justice centre for like 18 and 25.
Oh, yeah.
So I went there first. I got a 12-month sentence and I went there. That was all goods, man. You know, like, sort of learnt the ropes and things. Like, when I went inside, out of my group of friends, I was like the only one that hadn't done time by that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my whole group of friends, like, everybody had been to juvie. Like, everyone. You know what I mean? Even if it was just like a little, like, month stint or 2 month stint, like, everybody had been there.
So did they have you prepped by the time you were going in?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, I went in, bro. Like, I was, like, skinny as... Like, because I was always, like, skinny teenager.
Yeah.
Like, skinny as, bro. Like, hanging around with, like, big islanders and that. Like, I was always, like, real skinny. And then I went inside, and then I ended up getting out real big. You know what I mean? Because I just wanted to be big in that.
Yeah.
So I ended up beefing up when I was in there, and then got out. And then yeah, after that, then I was only out for like 3 months, and then I went back. Then that's when I ended up going to prison. So I was still 19 though.
Yeah.
And then I went to prison.
Is that because you had already done a stint in the youth?
Yeah. And I guess just the charges were a bit more serious as well. Yeah.
So going like the worst I've done is stole from a dairy, bro. I'm clean as fucking the kitchen bench, bro. So, what's it like going into prison for the first time? Were you nervous?
Like when I first went to prison, oh yeah, like nervous, yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Like definitely nervous, but also like ready to do what I got to do though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like definitely ready, because by that point, bro, like at this stage in my life, I'm like lost as, you know what I mean, man? Like I'm looking at life like I don't know the meaning of it. I don't know why I'm even alive. Me and the boys are just doing the same thing, like day in, day out. Just
and it becomes
robbing,
routine.
Yeah, just robbing and then drinking and then like smoking weed and then doing drugs and like just the same thing every week. Like just nothing's changing, you know what I mean? Like, so
you're caught in a bit of a cycle.
Yeah, caught in a cycle. People are going in and out around me. Having good periods where like you're done a job, made some cash and now it's all goods, and then having those dry spells we got nothing, and up and down, up and down. So by the time I've gone to prison, I'm just thinking like, I want to like sort of do something in here. Like, because I just wanted to be a gangster. Like I just wanted to be known as like some sort of gangster. So went to prison because I had a coal fender as well. So I got done with my coal fender. So I got done for robbery. I ended up copping 2 years out of it. Me and my coal fender was a bit older than me, but he had already done a few stretches inside. So he was there with me. So it's like he was sort of showing me the ropes as well. And yeah, no, just because in Melbourne you go to the Melbourne Assessment Prison, so that's like the first prison you go to. Went in there, you just see a whole bunch of people on this like one yard, and it's pretty packed in that, and
you're all out there at the same time.
Yeah, everyone's out on the same time, and like when I first went in, bro, like there was another Islander dude that I had met in the holding cells, and he had already done time as well. Same age as me though, but he was like he was a G, you know what I mean? So like he like grabbed my stuff, you know what I mean, and like walked me to the unit and like got me like walked into the cell, and there's a dude like sitting on the bottom bunk, this Aussie dude, and then bang, he's like telling him like chuck his stuff on the top, you know what I mean, on the top bunk. And then I was like, oh, like I don't even care where I sleep, you know what I mean? But he's like, nah, jump on the bottom bunk and things like that.
Is there a reason for that? Like...
Well, it's just, bro, like they just reckon, like if you're going to go in a cellar, you'd rather sleep on the bottom. Like, so the top bunk scene is like a bitch sort of. You know what I mean? Like, so they got me the bottom bunk, and then I went on the bottom bunk, and then and then from there, bro, like just basically getting schooled to how jail is, learning about the drug trade and stuff, you know what I mean, in prison. And because in Oz it's a bit different over there because you've got like different drugs that they don't use here in New Zealand. Like they've got like Butte, which is like this, it's like a heroin replacement drug. That it's legal though. Like it's like the methadone. Like if you've ever heard of methadone, it's like a replacement, pharmaceutical replacement for heroin. But it has the same effects as heroin.
Fuck, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can still get hooked on it.
How easily accessible is it?
Oh, like Butte in jail. Oh, like I said, man, like in Aussie, like in the prison system, like everybody knows about, like jails run on it, you know what I mean? Like everyone's on it, you know what I mean? Like because it's like it's like a heroin replacement thing, but you get hooked on it, bro, and then like but most of my jail like consisted of just like getting on the Butte, you know what I mean? Oh, they call it chicken in Australia. But like chicken soup, so like the rhyming thing. So they that's what they call it. But so ended up getting involved in the politics and things, and then like carrying knives for people, and then like at the bottom, you know what I mean, and like just looking for reasons to like bash people, like if they're owing or that's just like stuff like that. And then I'm going to the slot now, and then because we ended up starting a prison gang in there as well. But because when I first went to jail, I just thought, like I'd end up becoming a bikie. Like that was my objective going into jail, was to join a motorcycle club. But because me and my boys, we didn't know any bikies, you know what I mean? Like because the way the gangs work in Australia is way different to here as well. You know what I mean? Because you do have, like, because you got so many gangs here in New Zealand, but they're more street gangs. You know what I mean? Like they wear the patches and stuff, but they're more street gangs, you know? Whereas in Oz, they're more like motorcycle clubs. Even though heaps of them don't actually ride bikes.
Would you say they're a lot more organised than Oz?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Yeah, they're just way more organised over there, bro. And you don't really see them on the streets much or anything like that. So when I, so I always thought I'd end up becoming a bikie and things. But just as time went on, prospected. Like I've prospected for different clubs and things. I won't say what clubs, but I like jail prospect.
Yep.
But then, just as time went on, like, because I had so many mates in there as well, like from the streets, who, like I said, bro, like they've all like grown up in juvie. So through that, they know people like all over Melbourne and even like rural Victoria as well. So we've got like this massive network of like people whom we know. Yeah. Like young though at this time. But it just got eventually to the point where like we just ended up forming our own gang and in prison, and yeah.
I did have one question from the bro Lukey here. I'm not too sure if you want to answer it or not.
Yeah, no.
But, what kind of things did you have to do to become a member of part of your gang? Was it just shit like you said that the dude coming up doing the little jobs, prospecting, carrying knives and shit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what like we did. Like, but that didn't have anything to do with the gang or anything. That was just like trying to climb the hierarchy in prison. Because there's a prison hierarchy. You know what I mean? Like there's, like bro, like when I first went onto the yard in prison, and that heaps of the people that used to do like the moving and that in there with drugs or whatever, with the respect and that. By the time I left prison, like, they weren't like people that we were like looking up to anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean, bro? Like we were either looking at them as equals or even lower. You know what I mean? Like, so had to definitely put in work to do that. You know, like, heaps of time in the slot, bro. Assaulting guards. You know what I mean? Attacking people on the yard and to do with money or anything like that, or drugs or just whatever. People getting stabbed as well. And then from that, because we're in the riots as well, but then because we're all in solitary confinement now as well, which is like 22-hour lockdown, like supermax, so like no human contact really. And then I was in there that like, because originally GFAM, bro, there was only 2 of us. Yeah. There was only 2 of us in it. There was 2 of us that started it, which was me and my co-offender at the time. But he's like serving a murder trial. Like he's like doing 20 years now. Yeah. But it was me and him, and then it just over time, just because this was at the start, bro. Like this was at the start of jail. Like me and my mate we were just like on the yard one time, and we were like, oh, like we should start a gang. You know what I mean? Like, and then we just called it GFAM. Like, because GFAM was a street gang, bro, that I knew from the outside. And I always liked that name, though. You know what I mean? I always liked it. So I took the name, you know what I mean? So we had no connection with them, though. Yeah. But I just took the name and thought, oh, yeah, we'll use that. And then, but just as the time went on, just, bro, like, because of the stuff that we were doing and more people were jumping on board, like, people were starting to talk about us and things. Yep. And then people were starting to talk about us outside of prison as well. And then we started making the newspapers, which was out of it. You know what I mean? Like, seeing, like they're talking about us on the news now because of stuff that we're doing inside a prison. So that was like, whoa.
That's
like,
pretty crazy,
what?
Bro.
Yeah, that was insane, bro. Like, not even, like, thinking that's what's going to happen. Yeah. So, and then it become a bit more structured a little bit, you know, more people were joining. But to join, like, Yeah, I mean, it is a prison gang.
Yeah,
you know what
I
mean?
couldn't
So,
just walk up to you and say, "Hey, bro, I want
it
to be G fan."
Yeah, it is a prison gang, man. So there are things that you have to do to join.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to go into it, but that's all good. So you saying with all that, the networks that you had built out and all the connections that you had on the outside, so people that were coming in were already knew about GFAM, how fast did you grow?
Bro, pretty fast at that
Yeah.
point. You know what I mean? Pretty fast. But bro, because the system, because the system's corrupt as too, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the whole system's corrupt as well. Like every instant, like worldwide, bro. Like
Yeah, everywhere.
It's all corrupt, you know. So, like, but they're helping it as well, though, in a way. You know, like because they're like, because it's predominantly Māori and Islander.
Yep.
GFAM, you know, there are other races in it though.
Yep.
Like there's African boys, there's Lebanese boys, there's even Aussies, but yeah, it's known as like a Māori and Pacific Island thing. But like I got to the point, like if you go to jail in Melbourne now, they'll ask you if you're an Islander or a Māori, they'll ask you if you're in GFAM.
Fuck,
Like
that's crazy.
They'll
man.
ask you. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what they were doing, asking like that sort of stuff, but that's like what they do.
Yeah.
And then they'll like we even celebrate Waitangi Day in prison as well in Australia because we celebrate it as a racial. So like that's where we come together and it's like a family day type thing. But like they even stopped those, you know what I mean? Because they were like, oh nah,
Don't want you congregating.
yeah, stuff
in one
like
area.
that, bro. And they were just hating on us and
Yeah.
and all of that. So, but then the name's spreading though because they're doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then so it grew pretty fast, man. It grew pretty fast.
So you spent about 8 years? Was it?
Yeah, seven
7
years,
years?
bro. All up.
Yeah.
Because I ended up doing that 2 years, and then I came back, and then I did 4.5 years before I got deported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that first 2 years, and you got out, had GFAM started by then?
Yeah, that started, but I didn't blow up until because I got out for like 3 months again,
Yeah.
and then went back for that 4.5 years, and then from there, bro, that's when it started getting big.
Yeah.
And that's more the reputation, not that the actual numbers were getting big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just the rep.
Yeah. So at what point, was it while you were in prison where you decided that you wanted to turn your life around? Or
Yeah, bro, yeah. So I think I had about 2 years left, about 18 months left. And bro, I had heaps of stuff going on in like my personal life.
Yeah.
And like to the point where like things got real dark for me in there. To the point where I thought I was going to end up like knocking myself in there. Thought I was going to end up committing suicide, just in a real bad place. Like to the point where I wasn't even like really communicating with people anymore. Just hanging in my cell, man. Like it got real bad for me. And it was a tough situation. You know,
yeah, I know because I've been in the same situation, and I know the worst thing is when you start thinking. You've got too much time to think, and you're just thinking to yourself all day.
Yeah,
and I can imagine what it would be like in prison, especially locked up in a cell. You've got all the time.
Yeah, exactly,
So
man. And
just
then
think.
also because you're in a unit with like 100 blokes as well.
Yeah,
Like no real privacy. People are watching you as well. Because I got boys in there as well. You know what I mean? I'm pretty straight up with this sort of stuff, bro. Like. Because it had that much of an effect on me that like I said, man, like I wasn't associating, bro, barely talking to the boys and that.
yeah,
Like, but then the thing is, bro, because like, you know, it's a place full of predators and things like that. So
Can't show
I'm
weakness,
like,
bro.
I'm showing weakness.
yeah.
You know what I mean, bro? Like I'm showing weakness now.
Yeah. Were the boys starting to question? Like,
Oh, bro, all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. It's tough, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because in prison, it's like this place where, like, bro, if you've got guys like serving 20 years or something like that, bro, they don't want to hear about your shit. You know what I mean, man? Like, they've got their own shit going on.
They've got their own problems.
Yeah,
Everyone's got their own problems.
They've got their own stuff going on. Like, to them, it's like, bro, you're going home, mate. Like, or, you know, like, fuck, bro, like, just pull your head in, bro. Like, because they don't want to see that, man. You know what I mean? Like, they'll put on mask after mask after mask. like having to be that hard guy, that they don't want to see that, you know what I mean? It's some guy showing weakness in that. So, I mean, bro, I mean, even my own boys were talking about me at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, because the thing is, I mean, if I had been in there and one of the boys was doing that as well,
You would have been the exact same.
I would have been the exact same.
Yeah.
So I understand, you know what I mean? But I started isolating myself. I even started going to education.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I started doing courses and things like that, which I never thought I'd do. And don't get me wrong, bro. Like, the boys never really said anything to me.
But you
can
just
feel
knew,
it.
yeah.
You know what I mean, bro? You can feel it, you know?
Bro.
So they knew that something was up. And then that's what I just kept doing, man. I just stuck to it because it was more that I needed to, man. I needed something to do.
Yeah.
So I just kept doing it. Looking back now, man, God kept me safe. You know what I mean? Like, because I had made heaps of enemies in prison as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was hearing through the grapevine that people were trying to get me and this and that. But, bro, God kept me safe. You know what I mean? So
who was it, or was it you who decided to go back to God? Because you said you'd been
no,
Christian, or were you always still going to?
No. Well, the thing is, I grew up in the church, but I wouldn't say that I'm Christian though. It's different, you know what I mean, bro? Like, even people that go to church, bro, just going to church doesn't make you Christian, you know? Like, this is how I view things now. That, you know, going to church, I know heaps of like people that go to church that aren't good people, you know what I mean? Like, and then I grew up in the church, but I wasn't Christian though. And then, but those values always stuck with me though, of the church and the Bible. But it's like that for heaps of islanders and Māoris in prison, you know what I mean? Like, heaps like got a Bible in their cell and stuff like. It's like the Lebos in jail, bro. Like, they're all like, they got the Quran, and you know what I mean. Even though they're doing their thing or whatever they're doing, they've still got the Quran and still like got their upbringing type thing. So that was always there. But yeah, I did have a couple spiritual moments with the Bible and God while I was in prison as well, during this whole time. Because even when there was a time in prison, man, when I really asked God for strength, you know what I mean? Like, before all of this happened, and I was just like asking him to save my life and this and that, and from where it's going. And then it was after that all these personal dramas in my life started happening, you know what I mean? Like, outside of prison and stuff. So I look at it now that, you know, when you ask God for strength, like, he gives you the maddest difficulties. You know what I mean? Like, he'll give you difficulties that'll give you strength in the end. And so with me, when he, even though I was going through hell, even though I was at the point where I was gonna neck myself and gonna end it all, God always just provided that bit of strength that I needed to make it to the next day, I look at it now that God was watching me that whole time. And even though his heart was breaking for me, he was watching over me and was saying, look, this is what you need to go through. You know what I mean? If you go through this, make it through this, and you're going to have like the best life in a couple of years. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have a mad life, but this is what you're going to have to go through. I'm going to give you what you want, but you just have to go through this. This is what you have to deal with. So I went through all of that.
That's massive, brother.
Yeah, I went through all of that, man. I ended up getting deported. After that 4.5 years, I came back.
How do you find out that you're getting deported? Do they just come tell you?
Nah, you go to like,
a process.
You get legal mail.
Yep.
So you have to go and get your legal mail from the office and things, and they'll give you a folder, and then the first forms you get, it will say that you're under consideration for your visa to be cancelled. So you got to sign in some paperwork, send a few things back, and then you got to mail it back to them. And then after that, you'll either be all good, which is unlikely, or they're going to send you the papers that say your visa's been cancelled. And
what's it like finding out there, knowing that you have made a life in Aussie and now?
Oh, bro, like, I was gutted. I was shattered, bro, because the thing is, bro, like, back in 2014 when they changed the laws, like in Melbourne in the prison system, bro, like, a majority of the boys, like, have their papers. You know what I mean? Because most of the boys aren't born in Australia. Most of them spent most of their life there, though. Yeah. But most are born here. You know what I mean? So, out of all of the sort of islanders and Māoris in prison in Victoria, like, bro, like 80-90% are getting deported back here. You know what I mean? So, it's not like it's this like shocking thing. Like if you know that you're not born in Australia and you go to prison, you know that you're going to get
highly likely you're going to end
you're
up
going to
there.
get your papers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I was still gutted. Yeah, still gutted. Definitely didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
Didn't want to come back to New Zealand. Never thought I'd ever come back. But yeah, got deported, man. How they do it? They grab you at like 3:00 in the morning.
Because there's no better time to grab you.
Yeah, the guards take you to admissions, and you go through the processing and all of that, and then you get handed over to Serco, who run like the immigration stuff, the border security, and then they take you to the airport. You wait there for a couple of hours until your flight, and then you jump on the plane. They march you to the plane, handcuffed and everything. You hop on the plane, and this is if you sign to go back though, or else they'll take you to a detention centre.
Yeah.
Like Broadmeadows or Villawood or in Sydney or Yonga Hill in Perth or Christmas Island. They'll take you there. So, but I didn't want to fight it by that point.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I was going through so much. I was just like, I just might as well just go back to New Zealand, man. Because I got, I just want to get out of here. So came back, and so then got deported.
What was your initial feeling? Oh, we just went through that. But moving back to NZ, you had family here, right?
Yeah.
So did you know you had a place to go to, or you were unsure?
Yeah, so when I came back, I went back to... So my dad was here.
Yeah.
So my old man was here. But even then, you know what I mean? Like, God bless my dad, that he was here. And that he helped me out. But I mean, at the time, I was just like... Because I never really had the best relationship with my dad. You know what I mean? Because he did have a bit of a temper. Bit of a, like, one of the reasons I sort of had low self-esteem, is always yelling and always like walking on eggshells around him, you know what I mean? Like, gotta be careful, like, because he could just explode over anything type thing.
Yeah.
So I always resented him for that, you know what I mean? And then, when I came back though, he was here, he picked me up from the airport bro, I just, it was the worst feeling, like coming back here. It's like, because it's like when I moved to Oz, it was a culture shock.
Yeah.
But then when I came back, it was a culture shock again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it is different. You know what I mean? It's like,
so how many years had you spent in Aussie before you?
By that point, I spent like 13 years over there. But that was half my life. You know what I mean? At that point, you know what I mean? So I spent half my life over there.
And coming out of prison, there'd be a culture shock itself, especially coming into a community like New Zealand.
And coming out of prison. But yeah, just big difference. You know what I mean? Big difference in size. Size is the main one. Like there's a lot more people in Australia.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Heaps more people, and it's a bit faster the pace over there.
Yeah.
And, like now I love New Zealand though. You know what I mean? Like now I've adjusted, and now I actually don't mind it here. But it took a long time. It took a long time.
Do you miss because being deported, can you go back to Aussie?
Nah,
no,
so you can never go back to Australia. I can travel other places though. I mean, like, bro, who knows what the future holds, man?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, bro? Like, with the opportunities this God's been presenting to me, man, like, who knows where he will take me? You know what I mean? Like, he could take me anywhere, man. Like, it's...
So if you got the chance to go back, would you? Or...
I'd go, look, to be honest, bro, if I got the opportunity to go back there, I'd definitely go for a visit. Because my mum and that's still over there. I still got fams and that over there.
Yeah.
So I definitely would visit. But yeah, I don't, because the thing is, I work with a couple of foundations over here now as well, which I'm enjoying. So yeah, at this point, I probably wouldn't. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of deportees that would, though. The majority, the majority would, but yeah. But yeah, so I come back, some old man was here. Like my old man didn't even have his own place, you know what I mean? Like he was flatting, so I didn't even have my own room, you know what I mean, bro? Like had to share the room with him, crashing on the couch and the floor, and so really, because of what I had gone through back in Melbourne in the prison system, the one thing I was certain of is that I didn't want to go back to prison here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like, that is just not even an option for me. So I just got into work, man. You know, I started working, doing furniture moving, and I just started working 7 days a week.
Just trying to keep busy.
Just trying to keep busy, man. Just working my ass off. Doing drugs though, you know what I mean? So this whole time I'm doing like drugs, I'm drinking every day, like drinking all night, then working all day.
Yeah, because had you sobered up while you're in prison, or by the time you had come over, you were still?
Yeah, well, because in prison I was a drug addict as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So yeah, I was still using drugs in prison all the time. Like that was basically what my time consisted of, was just like chasing drugs all the time. So yeah, and then when I come back, I just was still smoking meth. But to me, that at that point, because I knew I didn't want to go back to prison, I didn't want to do crime anymore.
Yeah. But
to me, doing drugs and drinking wasn't crime, you know what I mean, to me, at that point. So I was just using all the time. Didn't really affect my work stuff much at first, because I was so fit from jail as well. Like I'm just like pumping on the truck, like I'm loving it. You know what I mean? Like working furniture moving, it's like, you know, you're just working out all day. So I loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But bro, I used to get mad panic attacks as well, anxiety attacks. You know what I mean? Like bad trauma going on as well, like mentally. I'm having flashbacks to Australia. So then I'm using more drugs and then, you know, coming back as well, like, bro, because like by that point I'm like just a crim like mentality. So I only know other crims, you know what I mean? Like I don't know anyone that isn't involved in crime, because I had heaps of mates by that point that have been deported as well. So I don't know anyone outside of that sort of a circle. And I don't even feel comfortable though with other people as well. You know what I mean? Like if I know that they haven't like had that experience of prison or like crime and that, then I wouldn't even like feel like I had anything in common with them. You know what I mean? Like that's how I felt at this point because of the jail and things. It got bad to worse though. You know, I mean, even though I wasn't getting involved in crime, like mentally, it was just getting worse. Over the next 2 years, I got physically sick as well. So I got real ill.
Was that from use of the drugs, or do you think it was just mentally?
Mentally,
it was playing on your body as well.
Look, I look at it at this point, bro, that it was God as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, God was making me sick, you know what I mean? Because it got to the point where, like, bro, like, there would be days where I couldn't even move, man. Like thinking that I'm dying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, bro? Like, that's what I thought. Like, I thought I was, like, dying. You know what I mean? Like terminal illness type thing. Like that's what I was thinking, because I was in pain 24/7.
Body was giving up on you.
Yeah, my body was giving up on me, man. And bro, like thinking back now, like I couldn't even sleep, bro, for ages, like proper. You know what I mean? Just in pain all the time. Got to the point where I started going to hospital and things. Like I was telling people that I was dying, bro.
Fuck.
Like straight up, like it was that bad. You know what I mean? Like just in pain 24/7 for over 2 years. You know what I mean? So
that's a long time, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So just in constant pain.
So
eventually I just got to that point, because it was just getting worse, bro. My bones were aching. You know, sore chest all the time. Bro, like couldn't even have proper bowel movements. You know what I mean? Like, bro, it was awful. So I was actually telling, like my mum actually flew over because I told my mum like I'm dying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Had you gone to any hospitals or anything?
Yeah, started going to hospitals and things like that.
Could they find anything that was going on?
They couldn't find anything that was wrong. They were doing all of the tests and doing all of this stuff, and they couldn't find anything that was wrong. And I'm like, man, I'm like in pain, you know what I mean? Like, and it's getting worse. Like when it got to the point where I was actually telling people I was dying and that, like, this was when I was like at wit's end, like, I'm like hurting, you know what I mean? Like real bad physically. And Bro, so like I'm just going through hell, like thinking I'm dying as well now. You know what I mean, bro? Like actually thinking like this is it. You know what I mean? Like when you get to that point where you're actually telling family members, like, look, I'm dying.
Yeah, accepted it, bro.
Like, accepting that life's over for me. Like I'm dying. So what ended up happening, bro, was bro, it wasn't until COVID happened.
Yeah.
When COVID happened, bro, I just went through this massive spiritual awakening. Like, I'll try to put this moment into words, but there's no way to put this experience in my life to words. But when the whole COVID scare happened and, like, they're saying, like, we got put into lockdown. You know what I mean? Like, here, I don't know if it was New Zealand wide, but in Auckland, we got put into level 4 lockdown, like, bam. Like, you can't.
And you were in it for a long time, too.
Yeah, like, you can't leave your house. And, like, I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? And then they're telling people we got to start lining up at the shops and all of this stuff. And, yeah, I don't go too deep into that stuff as well because I don't want to get, like, too political. And I know that people have different views on the whole pandemic and things like that, but like I went down the rabbit hole, you know what I mean? Let's say that, you know what I mean? Like I started going down the rabbit hole of all of this out there stuff that like people were talking about on the net, you know what I mean? Like they started talking about like conspiracy theories.
Yeah, bro. Because you have a YouTube channel where you
go
into that stuff, eh, brother?
Yeah, nah, well...
It's all good, bro.
Yeah, so...
if anyone listens to our other podcast, Straight Out the Shed, we go deep into conspiracy theories and shit, bro.
So I had a whole YouTube channel on all of this, bro. Because that was actually my first YouTube channel, bro. That was how I got onto YouTube.
Yeah.
Was because of that.
Does it still run? Have you still got to go?
Nah, bro. Nah. We'll get to that. So I started a YouTube channel, and I started talking about all of these out there conspiracy theories and things. And because the thing is, when I started realizing all of this stuff that I'm seeing on the internet, because we're all like in Auckland, everyone's in lockdown, like everyone's on their phones trying to find out more about this stuff. So then when I started hearing about these conspiracy theories, which I knew nothing at all about, like I was never into that sort of stuff. Like even in prison, if someone started talking about like secret societies or stuff like that, like I'll just be like, oh bro, shut up, man. Like I don't want to hear about it. You know what I mean? I don't want to know. And then, but then I started doing my research, like deep research. And then I'm thinking like, oh man, like, there actually is more going on in the world, way more than what we realize. You know what I mean? There's so much going on in the world that is just hidden in plain sight and people don't realize it. Yeah. And
there's way too many connections in some
way
things
too many connections, bro. You know what I mean? Like the thing is, at this point, a lot of people know about the conspiracy theories, but it's just at this point, it's just like people refuse to accept it. Yeah. Because, bro, once you start in that rabbit hole and you start realizing that it's all making sense, bro, it's too much for some people to handle because then their whole life is a lie. You know what I mean? Like they can't accept
reality.
They can't accept.
Changes.
Yeah, they can't accept that the reality they've been presented has just been a lie their whole life because that's a lot to accept. You know what I mean? So like, then it's the cognitive dissonance, and then they like fight to protect the matrix, you know what I mean? Like they're fighting to protect it now because they want to believe that this is the truth when it's not, you know? Yeah. But anywho, so that's how I got into all of that. But then during this time as well, I'm learning about the body. I'm learning that, bro, like I got given like light, you know what I mean? Like it's not over, you know what I mean? Like, and then in all of this, I'm really like establishing my connection with God as well. Yep. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, well, look, if there are these like celebrities and all of these people out there that worship the devil, then there must be a God as well. You know what I mean? Exactly. So that's establishing my connection with God as well. But it's just like God like ripped off the blindfold. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden I'm like Neo in the Matrix, like seeing the codes and all of that. And I'm just like, whoa. And then it just gave me this new lease on life. You know what I mean? Yep. And then I started getting healthy. You know what I mean? I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped, I stopped eating meat. You know what I mean? I started eating meat again now, but for a solid 2 years, I went vegan. Bro, I didn't even eat, like, I was mainly like raw vegan as well, so I'm only eating like raw foods.
Yeah.
Lost like 40 kilos.
Yeah,
Like,
I might have to.
massive change.
I might
bro.
have to do it too.
Yeah.
Raw vegan.
Yeah. Like, this was like, I went through a massive like spiritual awakening, you know, and I started getting better, bro. Like, the pain started going away. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden the pain's stopping and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like, I'm actually sleeping now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually getting sleep. I'm actually like, bro, like, it's just like the hand of God was on me. You know what I mean? And then I'm realizing, like, mentally, like, shit, I'm living. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna live. You know what I mean? Like, there's more to this, because then as well, I'm realizing, like, that this was God's plan for me, and like, God's actually got like a plan.
Yeah.
Like, God's got a plan for everyone, but I just realized, like, man, God's actually got like maybe a special one for me. You know what I mean? Like, and this was back then.
Fire,
you know what I mean? This was back then. So I started getting right, you know what I mean? I started training again. I started going for runs, and then I'm getting healthier and healthier and healthier. And then, I started that YouTube channel, bro, and I started talking about, you know, these sorts of theories and things like that, and providing the evidence, bro, you know what I mean, bro? Like, providing all the evidence, mate, connecting the dots, you know
touch
what I mean?
on, fucking YouTube's a dangerous place for conspiracy.
I know, bro.
You start on one and then 20 conspiracies later, bro.
I know, man. So that was how I started on YouTube, man. I started talking about that sort of stuff. But how actually the Felon Show started was because I was like, I actually, like, how can I make this interesting? You know what I mean? For like people and that. So I thought, I'll start interviewing my mates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then that's when that started, bro. I started interviewing friends of mine, but from that life, you know what I mean, bro?
Yeah.
So like, heaps were like gang members and things, or former gang members, and then I knew like a couple of bikies that were getting out of jail as well, and then they had left the clubs as well. So I'm like hitting them up, like, oh, bro, do you want to jump on my show? And they're just like doing me a solid, like, oh yeah. Like, because like, not thinking like, oh, well, no one's really gonna watch it anyway, you know what I mean? So they're like just doing me a solid, like, yeah, I'll jump on for you, you know what I mean, like that. And then but then it started taking off, bro, you know what I mean? Like, people were actually watching. Even they were tripping out, because they were like, fuck, like, people are actually watching this stuff, you know what I mean? Mind you, though, like, they're like former bikie presidents. So I'm like, yeah, bro, like, people are interested.
People are interested in that shit. Like,
bro,
crime
100%.
is probably, like, if you look at podcasting, crime, true crime is like one of the biggest.
They love
bro.
it, man. People love watching it. But because during this time as well, like, right at the start, I used to watch heaps of podcasts as well.
Yeah.
Like, but the American ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, ones that aren't really that well known, but like, with like all the California, like, prison gang stuff, like, I used to watch that. And that helped me heaps, bro, like, seeing these guys that have done like 30 years, 20 years, bro, talking about, and like, done all of the stuff in jail, and they've like made it out, and they're like doing positive things now.
Yeah.
So, which is, you know, what we're doing now, you know what I mean? So that's where I got the inspiration for that. But, yeah, like, fast forward a bit, because then, I started interviewing my own mates, and then that started taking off as well. My conspiracy channel was doing all right as well. Though. For that audience, I was actually doing quite well as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what happened, like, eventually, bro, I just got to the point where I was like, you know, the Felon Show was doing so well, and then I was like, oh, look, man, you know, like, biblically, like, as a Christian, like, because I do believe that, like, the world's coming to an end, to be honest. Yeah. I am a believer in that.
I mean, I think anyone, you don't even have to be Christian or follow God to see it.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
Everything that's going on in the world's crazy.
100%, bro. Like, I'll be honest, like, the guys that I work with even now, because I work in rehabilitation as well.
Yep.
So I facilitate classes, bro, for like parolees and people out on bail. So I'm like whiteboard, you know what I mean, bro? Like, actually teaching these guys while I'm learning myself, though. Like, and a lot of these dudes are like hardened crooks, bro. You know what I mean? Like, the people that we work with, there's over 200. This is the Grace Foundation, so we got over 200 people that are in the program, but over like 90% are gang members. You know what I mean? Or gang affiliated. You know what I mean? So that's who I'm working with now. But we're also starting in a youth program and things like that as well. But all the boys that run it have all done time, all ex-gang members. But it is a Christian thing, so a lot of the people that run the program are Christian.
Yep.
But we're all of the belief that, like, things are wrapping up. You know what I mean? Like,
well, even the world itself seems like it's telling us with all the natural disasters that have been going on lately. It's crazy, bro.
I know. That's why, like, we're all of the belief that, like the signs are there. You know what I mean, in the world. But that just pushes us even harder to go and do what we're doing now. And it's happening across New Zealand, bro. Like, there's all these people, Christian or not, that are, like, doing these positive things and, like, coming together. You got Lee over here. And, bro, there's heaps across New Zealand, bro, that are, like, actually coming together and, like, trying to do positive things. Because the struggle's becoming more and more. You know what I mean? Like, the country's struggling. Yeah. More. So there's actually, like, all these guys, all these gang members thinking, like, oh, man, we should actually, like, do something to start helping people. You know what I mean? So I do believe it is God's plan that, like, just all of these people are coming together now. We're all trying to make a difference in the country, which I believe we are going to do, like, massively. I believe that we're going to do something massive in the country. Just from, like, the guys that I've interviewed, like, people trip out. Like, they're like, bro, you got that guy on the show, you got that guy on the show, you got that guy on the show. Like, bro, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's because, bro, like, Christian or not, you know what I mean? Like, God's moving in people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he's moving across the nation. Yeah. Like, the people need to be good in the head, bro, like, to move forward in life. So, so that's why I started focusing more on that. But, yeah, that's how it all started, bro. Yeah. Yeah, that's how the Felon Show started, yeah.
Have you got a favourite guest that you've had on so far? Or a favourite story from one of the guests? Like,
look, I had a few, man. I mean, like, the first big guest, bro, that I ever had on the show was actually my mate Moe. And he used to be the president of the Hells Angels in Melbourne. Yeah. And, bro, I'm always, like, super appreciative to that guy, to be honest, because he was, like, my first big guest. Yeah. And then that was, like, when it really started taking off. So I was always very grateful for him. But, bro, there's so many, you know what I mean? So many good fellas that have jumped on the show and shared their stories. So, yeah, but that was definitely, I had a lot of love for that first one, that first big one, I guess. Yeah.
Is there someone out there that you want to get on that you haven't got yet? That you'd like to talk to?
I mean, bro, there's heaps. You know what I mean? Like, there's heaps, but, like,
what's it like when you're going up and approaching? You know what I mean? Like, I guess it wouldn't be too bad for you because you...
Bro, like, at the start, like, I used to get that many no's. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just, bro, you want to jump on? Nah. You want to jump on? Nah. You want to jump on? Nah. And it was discouraging at the start. You know what I mean? I'll be like, oh. But, like... But then that's when you see what the what the show really means to you at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because I just kept going though. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's what you got to do, eh?
Yeah. Because like, bro, like, like at the start especially, like I used to introduce, like I had prison chaplains on. I used to get prison officers even on. I've had on, bro. I've had psychologists on. Like, especially in those first times, because I just thought, you know, I want to attract, like, different audience as well, you know what I mean, like, not just all crims, you know what I mean, like, try and attract, like, uni students, you know what I mean, because they're massive, you know what I mean, that's a massive audience, you know, so I thought,
and they spread word of mouth real quick.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I should get professors on and, like, criminologists on, which I did at the start, you know what I mean, because I thought, like, attract, like, different people to come watch, like, the show. You know, and I guess in the end it worked though. Like, it worked massively. So, but yeah, because you know, I'd love if every guest was like a gang president or something like that. That'd be mean, you know what I mean? But you can't always get them, you know. But and I've had heaps of other ones, bro. Like where I did the interview and then they ended up pulling out and say, "Oh, actually, nah, I don't want my story." You know what I mean? Which is understandable, bro. Like, I'll just be like, "No, it's all good, man." But yeah, I got some good ones, man. I've just been speaking to this dude named Simon, who's bro, he was like a notorious NZ crim. Like he was like, he used to like run with this hole in the wall gang and like it's like this old New Zealand.
Yeah,
thing,
I've heard
like,
about it.
Yeah, like mad bank robber dude.
Yeah, right.
So he's gonna be jumping on. So that's gonna be a massive one. Yeah, so I'm pretty keen for that one. That will be cool.
Yeah.
Like he does art stuff now, so he's like got galleries and things like that, bro. So he's like doing mad positive stuff,
Yeah.
you know. But bro, anyone that's lived that life to the extent, especially like those ones that are like those old school like crooks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
They're always awesome to have on. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the point of me doing this podcast too, was trying to tell the stories that people don't get to hear all the time, and not get to hear those stories, especially from people in my small town.
Yeah, no, yeah,
people like
100%,
Lee
bro.
who turned his life around, and now he's doing big things in the community and shit like that.
Yeah, bro, like him, bro. Even that, you know, that Tanya, the sort of. Oh well, Lee will tell you about it anyway. But her partner's like, he's done a bit of time as well. He's here.
Oh, yeah.
You should speak to him, bro. He's got a few connections and that. But bro, like, because at this point, bro, like, because I've had so many guys that I knew from Melbourne and also over here, like ex-bikies and that.
Yeah.
Like recently I had my bro Nicky on, who I was locked up with in Melbourne. He was deported as well, but he was the youngest patched member for the Hells Angels ever. Like during his time, he was patched up when he was 21, which for the Hells Angels, that's young.
Yeah.
I think it's been younger now, but at that point when he joined, he was the youngest in the world. But like, bro, like if it wasn't for the podcast, like his story would have never been told.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's all these guys that I've had on the show. Like if it wasn't for the show, like, bro, no one would even have known about them, about their stories, bro. Like, it's crazy. So that's a massive blessing for me as well. You know what I mean? Because it's mad, like, being able to share people's stories, and then, because they're always wrapped as well. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, man, that come up so good and this and that. So, because that's a big part of why I do it as well, just so people see the realities of that life, but also because I believe in the guests, you know what I mean? I'm like, bro, like I can see this guy like doing something mad with his life, you know?
Yeah.
And to give them that boost that they need to try and do positive things as well. So it's a massive blessing, bro. It's a massive.
Yeah, because a lot of the time people can get hung up on the negatives, and they find it hard to see through the positives when people have done certain things in their past. So I think that's the great thing about your show, and that's with Lee in there. That's what I'm trying to do here too.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, because the thing is, bro, like, you know, with, you know, the conspiracy theory type stuff and that as well, you realize that, like, the people in prison aren't even bad people. You know what I mean, bro? Like, the world's upside down, bro. It's twisted. The people that the masses look up to and think, oh, that's a really great person, they're actually, like, really evil. You know what I mean? Like, these people in positions of power and in the government, like, bro, there's stuff that comes out all of the time, bro. You know what I mean? Like allegations of these child sex trafficking rings in the government and things like that, bro. But nothing ever happens.
Yeah, but they're a superstar.
They're superstars
in the limelight all the time.
They're in the limelight, bro. Like, so that's why that pushes me as well to show people, hey, look, the guys that are sitting in prison, they're not actually the bad people in this world. You know what I mean? Like, they're nowhere near. You know what I mean? Like, they're nowhere near, mate. There's some people out there that do some out of it stuff, bro, like behind closed doors.
And they get away with it.
And they get away with it. Like,
sometimes not even behind closed doors. It's right in your face and you don't want to believe it.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly.
Without getting too much into it.
Don't get too much into it.
We're not going for another hour.
Bro, it'll go for ages.
Nah, I'd appreciate you for coming on, especially not meeting me before, or having met me before, bro, and Lee hitting you up. Big shout outs to Lee for
big shout out to the brother Lee
organising it. Thanks again, bro, for coming on, sharing your story.
Nah, it's all
really
love,
appreciate it, bro. Do you want to plug your handles and everything?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, so if you want, just check us out on the Felon Show on Facebook and on YouTube. The Felon Show, FELON. On Instagram as well, if you want to contact me on there. But yeah, you can just reach out to me on Facebook on the Felon Show. Just direct message that one. I always get back to the messages. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on, my brother.
All good, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Sure.
Shout out David Obeda, brother. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, brother.
I hold it down for my hood, my hood. I got love for my hood, my hood. I hold it down for my hood, my hood.
The place I was born be the land of the soldier. Puerto Rico surrounds Polynesian culture. Lava jams with the young skin fade. Patch members on the block trying to make that pay. But now I never do the thing. Rolling on the east side, that we ride. Sing a few beers that we sitting by the seaside. What you really know about that? Rolling up the green, you can smell it from my clothes. Kick it with the fam, small circle of bros. Slap each other's hands, man, you already know. Mike Red Gang, we back still in the show. Do it on a daily, bro, I know you hate me. Have a listen, maybe I can change your point of view. Popping out the bottle, now you better make it too. Gotta let them know, east to west, how we do, Y and T.
I got love for my hood, my hood. I hold it down.